Jeff Passan, ESPN's insider, so great with the baseball reporting, is back with us once a week. So we will talk to Jeff Passan weekly this baseball season, just like we did a couple of years ago and many years before that. He joins us right now on the Corona Hotline. Jeff Passan, how the heck are you?
Gentlemen, it is so good to be back. I'm doing great. I just watched a ball fly over the fence and get counted as a single and an out.
What?
Because baseball is freaking weird, and I love that it's back.
All right, explain this to us. What happened here?
Third inning, Dodgers and Rockies. Justin Turner's on first base. Cody Bellinger's at the plate and hits a ball toward the fence. Raimel Tapia goes up, thinks he has it in his glove, hits the fence, and the ball goes over the fence. Justin Turner, however, thinks that Tapia caught it, so he starts retreating toward first base and ends up going past Cody Bellinger, who's in the middle of his home run trot. A home run does not count when the person who hits it passes somebody else on the base paths. And because he was in between first and second base, it is counted as a single, but he is out. Justin Turner, however, was allowed to go around and score.
Wow, Justin Turner causing lots of chaos, just like he did after they won the World Series.
Right. Good call. Good call.
Who would have thought?
Jeff, obviously public safety is paramount here, but how much do you enjoy watching baseball more with fans in the stands? Maybe that's an odd question, but for me, I just love seeing people in the park.
It's like it's not an odd question at all. Did you guys go to any games as media members last year?
No.
I'm glad, because it was weird. It was eerie. It was inauthentic, and it makes you appreciate that much more that baseball and sports in general, I guess, are not just events that we consume with our eyes alone. I mean, the sound at sports events has a lot to do with how we feel emotionally, I think, about the event. Yeah. And I'm sorry, but the piped-in crowd noise sucked, and I think it needs to go away forever. And God forbid we're ever in a situation where a game needs to be played with no fans again. Please just let it be dead air rather than the fake crowd noise, because it was already odd enough being in an empty stadium, but being in an empty stadium where they were trying to act like there were people there made it even weirder. I love that there are fans back. I'm looking forward to taking my family to the park soon, and I hope everyone here who's listening gets a chance to go see a baseball game live and in person this spring and summer, because there may not be no better city in America than Chicago to go watch a baseball game.
That's for sure, yeah. Before we get to our teams, too, I wanted to ask you, because the president mentioned this last night about, Texas for their opening day. They're on the road, I believe, in Kansas City today. When they open this year, they're having a, quote, full crowd. Do you know how many tickets they have sold? They're making them all available, but will it be a sellout or close to it?
Rob Manfred talked with Carl Ravitch earlier today and was talking about how there are some distance sections of the stadium, so it's not going to be full on packed. I have a difficult time believing that people are right now comfortable to the point where they're going to go pack in, right next to others. And it's going to be interesting to see when stadiums do open at full capacity, guys, just how many tickets they do actually sell. Or if you're looking for a ticket, do you suddenly not look for the best view, but do you look for the row that has the fewest tickets sold, because maybe you're going to be able to stay away from people? Now, I got my first shot last weekend, so I'm going to be a lot more comfortable sitting near people than others, but I have a difficult time believing that the entirety of the crowd on Monday at Globe Life Field is going to be vaccinated as well. And it's going to be interesting to know that Major League Baseball is kind of the introduction for this country to what a packed event looks like, right? Yeah. We haven't seen anything close to that for a really long time. And it's going to be weird to see this vestige of the past and hopefully a precursor for the future finally show up again, and our reaction to it is going to be awfully telling.
Yeah, I think the baseball teams themselves are going to be very interested to see how many people come through the gates as well, because I'm sure a lot of their financial projections are tied to how many people come in. So I'm sure it's all very fluid. Let's look at our White Sox. What are your expectations for this Chicago White Sox team this year, Jeff?
I think it's okay. I'm not going to say World Series or bust, because that would be rude for me to say, and that would be lifting expectations beyond what they probably actually are. I will say this. This is a team that has the ability to go to the World Series this year. They are talented enough, even without Eloy Jimenez for the next few months. They have the pitching, they have the hitting, they have the bullpen, they have everything that you need in order to be great in baseball in 2021. And honestly, the way that this rebuild has come together and the moves that they've made, it's been about as well executed of a rebuild as there's been since the Chicago Cubs and theirs ended up winning the World Series in 2016.
We were debating this earlier. Did the White Sox do enough in the offseason?
I mean, yeah.
That doesn't sound confident to me.
I suppose there could have been more that they could have done. Would it have been nice for them to add Trevor Bauer instead of Lance Lynn? Yeah. Would it have been nice for them to go out and get George Springer? Sure. But there's so much there in place right now already, guys. My expectation for the Sox when it comes to spending, I think is just, through years of understanding how they operate, and that this is not going to be a team that goes out and spends $150 million on a guy. It's just not how they do things. It's never how they've done things. It's not how they're going to do things as long as Jerry Reinsdorf is the owner there. And what they've done and the way that they've done it has led to, I think, a pretty good situation right now for them. So you can't knock it. But going out and getting Liam Hendricks to back up a bullpen that already has Hoyer, Bummer, and Crochet, and like I can go on and on about the guys in that bullpen. Like, it's the best bullpen in the American League, right? Like, is there any disputing that? I don't think so. I think you can make the argument that it's the best bullpen in baseball. And even Kopech in there right now. And when you watch Dylan Cease and what he's done this spring, and no Dallas Keuchel is as solid as it gets, and recognize that Lucas Giolito is entering the prime of his career, and hope that Ronaldo Lopez can be what his arm says that he can be. There's just so much to be excited about this team that I don't want to sit here and bemoan what they did in the offseason when they went out and got a starting pitcher, got a closer, and got a guy in right field and Adam Eaton who's solid and who they know. Like, they did things, I think, the safe and intelligent way, and that doesn't necessarily mean going around and chucking a bunch of money at guys and hoping that they're going to fit into this culture that they've created.
With that as a backdrop, what would your expectation be for if, for whatever reason, they can't fill the void left by Eloy not being out there for the next several months internally? Would you expect them to go out and find a solution if need be?
No. I mean, honestly, let's shed some crocodile tears for the poor White Sox, who only have Luis Robert and Yoan Moncada and Tim Anderson and Jose Abreu and Nick Madrigal and Yasmani Grandal. The poor poverty White Sox with Andrew Vaughn. I mean, come on. Their offense is going to be just fine. Adam Engel is going to come back. He's going to fill in there. And he was good last year, by the way. Adam Engel's a good baseball player. He's not going to be an all-star, but he is a perfectly good baseball player if you're expecting him to be like the number 8 hitter in this lineup, which he probably is going to be. So, no, I don't think they need to do anything. You want to talk about being panicky. That's panicky right there, and there's no need for that.
Okay, that's good to hear. Let's talk about the Cubs really quick. You were all over the Lindor situation yesterday. The Cubs don't want to hand out money to anybody right now. You know, Rizzo had his press conference on Monday. Jed Hoyer kind of, went back saying, hey, he doesn't like how he's negotiating through the media. Javi wants money. He's in approve-it mode. Chris Bryant's probably going to be sold off. If those three don't get money, Jeff, who's going to get the Cubs money?
Someone. I mean, someone's going to. I don't think the Cubs are going to go back into like 2012 mode. I just don't see them completely selling off and tanking. I think if they were going to do that, they would have started that process before this season. And listen, maybe my read on the situation there is wrong. And that process is underway right now. But it doesn't make sense to try and go out, at least to me, it doesn't make sense to try and go out and win a division that you're probably not going to win. And listen, there is optimism inside the Cubs organization. They do believe, at least some people there, believe that they're the best team in the Central this year, which, good God almighty, that says something about the Central. But unless you think you are a true contender, and I don't mean like contender in the Central. I mean like a World Series contender. If you're going to blow this thing up, you start earlier than later. And so I think that this offseason, if it is not Javier Baez, and I do, by the way, think it's going to be Javier Baez. I think ultimately he's going to be signed long-term, and I do think Anthony Rizzo is going to as well. But if it's not, they're in on Corey Seager. They're in on Carlos Correa. They're in on Trevor Story. They're in on Freddie Freeman. They're in on everyone. And I think that there is money there to spend and that they're not going to be afraid to spend it.
What would a Javi Baez, you said you think it will get done. What would a Javi Baez deal look like?
I don't think it's going to get done in the near term because I think Javier Baez wants to get paid for what he has been. And the Cubs look at what he was last year and can't rationalize that. And I get it. Like that makes sense, right? Can you go out and give $200 million to a guy who hit 200 last year? No, you just can't do that. But I think when Francisco Lindor gets $340 million and his closest analog among the five shortstops, the five dynamic guys who are going to be free agents this offseason is Javier Baez, and the fact that he's got power and his on base has always been his weak point, and he's incredible in the field and he's dynamic on the base paths, and he's got style and swag and personality, and you want him to be associated with your franchise. If the price on that is $340, yeah, you can see why Javi Baez is asking for 200 plus. Makes complete sense. And if he shows out this year, then the Cubs, if they're not willing to pay it, someone will be.
Real quick, Jeff, what did you make? I don't think, forgive me for not having a very good memory, but I don't think we asked you about the Cubs' decision to trade Darvish. Going back in time, what did you make of that decision?
I thought that indicated to me that they were getting serious about trying to rebuild their farm system. And when you trade a guy at his apex, and I think Darvish probably was at his apex last year, I have trouble faulting that. It's one of those deals, though, guys, that I just can't sit here and render a true, strong opinion on right now because everybody they got is a child. Like, they got a bunch of kids. And if one of them hits, then you look back on that deal and you say, yeah, that was good. That makes sense. I mean, the way I look at it is they signed Darvish to a 6-year deal and they got out of it after year 3. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think it was year 3.
Yeah,
exactly.
If you tell me that I can, with a starting pitcher, sign him to a deal that I have to give him 6 years in order to get him to sign with me, but I can get rid of him after those first 3. So I get theoretically the 3 best years out of him, the 3 least likely that he's going to suffer injuries, and I get 4 prospects out of it. It's a good outcome. It just tells me that they don't want to win this year, and that they that's not the priority right now. That they are looking as forward to the future as they are in the present. And let me rephrase that. It's not that they don't want to win this year. It's that winning isn't the absolute priority this year.
Yeah. It's interesting. Jeff, great stuff. We will look forward to all the conversations throughout the baseball season. Happy opening day.
Thanks, Jeff.
You too, boys. Looking forward to it. Thanks for having me.
You got it.